So what I wanted to do is kind of catch up and to reflect. So obviously, it's really good that people do really well and they get great results. And actually, it's like, what happens after the 12 weeks? And when I called you, and I was like, wow, what a good place to be. What a success after success after success. And my aim with my clients is to get them the results and help them achieve longer, bigger, larger results in their lifestyle, like permanently. So I thought it was really good for us just to kind of go through just a bit of a chat and just reflect on what you've done since we finished. So it's about you, but my aim is that clients watch this in the group, prospects watch it in the group, and they see kind of what can be done. And that if you imagine before we started the program, it was, is you going to have me eating rabbit food, right? Obviously not the case, right? It's easier for us now in this situation, but what I have reflected on is people sometimes could be thinking, well, great, awesome, for 12 weeks, but the weight will have to go on, but then I'll go back to square one, but everything I've done only works for a few weeks anyway, so that what's it different? So I thought it was good just for us to speak, for you to tell kind of me, and I'll share the recording of this when I do press record, of what you did following the program. Does that all make sense, by the way?
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. So
that's fine.
Yeah, let's jump in. I've not done this before though. I've got a few questions, but I'm just like, oh, what do I do? And like when you're saying, oh, I hope I'm going to be okay, I'm just like, oh, that's two of us. So I need to kind of jump in with this one. Let's. Awkward.
You're making me nervous.
I know, it's like it's not even a big thing, right? So let's begin. This is the amazing Kirsty Brook. We worked together last year, and we finished just before the pandemic. Don't laugh, you'll spoil it. We have to start again. Yeah, we'll roll in. Obviously, it's been a crazy year. I have got some questions that people wanted specifically answering because you finished almost a year ago now. So first of all, just before we begin, what was your motivation behind working with me in my program all the way back in last December?
Last December, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I wasn't happy with my body. I wasn't happy with quite a few things, and I just wasn't aware of certain mental issues that were possibly creeping up, which were also stopping me, being myself, really. I think life just takes yourself away. And when I saw you in the gym and you said, oh, I do, life coaching, I thought, I'll give it a go. So obviously I tested the water first by having my first gym session with you. It almost died afterwards. And then I thought, you know what, I'll do this. I had a catch up with you. You went through everything and said you'd be able to help. And, it wasn't like an interview or anything. It was very easy. It was very at my own pace. And you put me at ease and said you can get the results that I want without having to be in a diet for 12 weeks or having to starve myself or not have, to do what I want to do or eat what I want to eat. Because I've never been on a diet myself, but I've never eaten right, really, as an adult. I've just ate what I've thought was right to eat. And you just carry on following that trend, really. So you really opened my eyes up with that to begin with. But overall, it was the fact of I saw the results that some of your other members had got, and I thought, I want the same. And lo and behold, I got that and more.
And what would you say was the main things that you kind of got out of working in the program?
The main things I got out of was my own mental health, was to take care of that, because that is the main focus on, and it does often get left unsaid. And I thought when that was getting underway and that was getting sorted and achieved, the rest of it kind of came naturally. The one thing that I found the hardest during the program was the fact of that it was a change, but it wasn't a change all at once. It was gradual. And it was the fact of you can still eat what you want to eat and you can still do what you want to do. But at the same time, you were still achieving the results that you wanted to achieve, which was unheard of, because you see obviously different types of diets all over the place. You see people who take slimming pills or exercise pills to get what they want to achieve, and then as soon as they stop, it just goes to fat, or it just goes to cellulite. And I didn't get any of that. All I got was, it was all natural, it was at my own pace, and with the guidance from yourself, which were the main things that, you know, helped me. I thought if I did a program like this without somebody to help, without somebody to guide me through, I don't think it would have been half as successful.
And why would you say that?
Because there's all, throughout the program, there was things that I wasn't too sure of if I was doing it right. And you always said throughout it, there's no right or wrong answer. It's what you think is right. It's what you believe. And if you're just doing something like that on a piece of paper and sending it off to get marked, or just doing it for your own sense of achievement, it's not the same, because you don't know whether or not, you know, you can't, whether or not it is right. You don't know whether or not it is something that's helping, or what you went through that, and that's what, and dissected that, and that's what really, really helped. You know, it's all well and good writing things down, but when you can talk about it openly and say, right, well, this is a good thing, or why don't you think about it differently, that's where it sticks, that's where it helps.
And I guess in some ways it's almost a little bit, not easier, but it's a bit more clearer when you've come out the other side of a transformation and you've got the results. But just tell me, like, what was the weight loss that you achieved, the nutrition? What would you say was the specific outcomes, as well as, you know, just increasing in that awareness, that acceptance, and the motivation and mindset? What was the physical outcomes?
The physical, well, I surpassed what I wanted to lose. So I originally wanted to lose, I think it was 9 pounds. I think I lost over a stone. And then after your actual program, I continued using the same methods. I continued to exercise, and then got to my overall goal, which was 8.5 stone, which was just fantastic. You know, I was toned. Obviously, I'm not as toned now because I'm pregnant, but I was toned. You know, my eating habits were fantastic. They're not only with me going through it. Rick, my husband, he also experienced the same advantages that I did, which was great, because even though he wasn't doing it, he was also getting the results, which is great. So if you are thinking about doing it and you do have a lazy partner or a lazy boyfriend, they will, you know, also lose the weight, which might, of course, you know, make them feel better. It was, throughout all of it, it was a really, really good experience. It wasn't something that I felt forced. It wasn't something that I thought, am I going to get there? Because I knew I would. At no point did I think throughout the program that I did that I wouldn't achieve my goals. My 3 goals as part of that were obviously to tone up, to eat healthily, and obviously start a family. And all those 3 things have gone in that exact order, which is fantastic. And it's not something that I've forgotten. It's not something from doing the program I thought, right, I'm just going to go back to normal, because it's very difficult to go back to that after you've spent so much time training your thoughts on to be this path instead of another one. You know, I'm not going to say that I eat healthily all the time. I'm not going to say that I exercise every day, and I'm not going to say, you know, I've piled a load of weight on since doing this, because I've not. You know, I've kept the weight off. You know, from throughout when I found out I was pregnant, my weight just got better and better, and I didn't change anything. I just followed the simple steps that you gave me, and that was the main thing that has maintained it. You know, I've not got you talking to me saying you need to do it. I've not got you messaging me saying you need to do it, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's simple. It's stuck in there. So whoever wants to join the program with yourself, it's not just 12 weeks and then it's done. Those 12 weeks with yourself have put those pillars of success in there. Those are there. You know, they won't just crumble down, because if I think, oh, I'm eating too much crap, I just go back to my thoughts of how I felt when I was at my largest and how I felt, and I think, no, I'll eat something else. It's slightly different now. because of my circumstances, I am just eating absolutely everything I want. But at the same time, there is that in my mindset afterwards. I will be going back to exactly how I began your journey to get that weight back off.
And how does that feel now that obviously we spoke and one of the key aims was you wanted to lose the weight so you can look and feel your best.
Yeah.
And then you knew that after you'd had a child, you could then obviously get back to that place.
Yeah.
How does that feel, knowing that although at the moment, the weight is going up and rightly so, that once you've had a child, because of what we've done last year, that you know exactly what to do, how to do it, and you've also got the confidence that, like, how does that feel?
Part of me feels a bit nervous because I'm going to have a child. My life is going to be completely different. My whole life won't just be surrounded by myself. It will be another person. So that's part of it. But the other part of it is the fact that I've got those standing blocks already there. So it's not something that's going to be really, really difficult. If I hadn't have done the program with yourself and and was then trying for a baby, I'd be much, much more anxious and nervous because I'd be losing possibly double, if not triple, the amount of weight that I wanted to lose. So from doing the program when I did, and now being in the place where I am now, I know that it's going to be much easier by just going back to the basics. I've got everything that I had with yourself, and I know for a fact if I turn around to you and said, Mike, will you please give me some guidance, you're not going to be like, no. I know for a fact that you'll be there to help guide me through where I'm maybe possibly lost my way a little bit. But once you have got all of those stepping blocks, it's not something where you'll just forget them. You get baby brain, but it's not something that I'm going to be like, oh, I've forgotten everything that Mike said, because that's not the case. And that's what I would really like to drill into anybody who wants to join it, is that it's not just 12 weeks and then you forget it. It's not just 12 weeks and then you're going to pile all that weight on. If you are truly wanting to get to that goal, you will get it and you will stay there. It's not a diet. It's mind changing. It's around your lifestyle. It's not something which is a quick fix. If you want a quick fix for a wedding, if you want a quick fix for just the sake of losing a few pounds over Christmas, then go ahead, go to Weight Watchers. If you want something to stand and continually stand throughout your life, definitely do the program without a shadow of a doubt. And he even said to Rick, I said, even if I was to balloon and be like 20 stone by the time I'd be going back to Mike for helping that guidance. And I don't think I will. I think I'll be able to, keep at a steady weight and keep those things. So I've kept everything. Everything was on my iPad. I can always refer back to them.
So we finished just as we entered lockdown number 1. Just before our calls, we was doing the claps and kind of that was going on, and there was one yesterday as well. Just tell me a little bit about kind of what that was like to come out at the end of the program. But then, obviously, you've had the quarantine, the lockdown, the virus. It picked up. It was the end of March when we finished the program. So it was a stressful period. It did affect people in a lot of ways, and we wasn't necessarily in touch at that point. How did, you could be forgiven if someone thought that would be not an excuse, but a lot of people would have put weight on. A lot of people would have lost motivation. You finished a program where you was motivated. You could be forgiven again for people to think, well, why wouldn't you go back to? Just tell me a little bit about what actually happened after we finished at that time with what went on.
Well, it was the opposite. So I've always been a gym goer. I've never done any exercise outside. I've never done any exercise at home, and I was the complete opposite. As soon as those gyms closed, I was like, right, what on earth can I do? And one of the things that you said, well, go onto YouTube. There's loads of home activities on there, and one in particular was Pamela Reif. So I literally thought, right, I'll try this. So started doing some home workouts. Started off quite easy with 30 minutes, and then obviously we had the glorious weather. So I started going out for a walk on my lunch. So, everybody gets a lunch. I only get 30 minutes. So it's to fit something in that time frame, and then obviously afterwards. So I started going for a walk, and then I thought, well, I've got a big field over there, it's sunny, and I started running. So I've never run outside. If it's cold outside, if it's raining outside, if it's windy outside, you will not see me outside. I will, and that's me being honest. You will not see me outside, regardless of what people say. It's amazing. It's this running out. You will not see me outside. It's just not going to happen. And throughout the first lockdown period, I can honestly say my body changed the most. It changed completely, and so did my husband's. It completely changed for the better. It like my friends, when they saw me out of lockdown the first time, were like, "Oh my God, what have you been doing?" And the first thing they said was, "Look at your butt." That was the first thing that they said, and that was simply because of doing home workouts. And if anything, it actually switched to have me more motivated. I'd spend half an hour, 40 minutes in the gym, but I was doing home workouts for an hour and a half because I was doing a run outside, and then I was coming back, and then after work I do another workout because they're in bite-sized chunks. They're not like a big hour long, the 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. So you can fit them in. You might feel a bit of an idiot jumping around in your living room, but if you are feeling like that, close your curtains. You don't need it. I use no equipment. The only thing that I bought was a mat. That was the only thing that I bought. I didn't buy any further equipment. I didn't buy any weights. I didn't use anything. So if you're thinking you can't do it at home, you can. If you wanted to buy those weights, yeah, you can use them. There is weighted assisted programs, but I didn't want to buy anything because I paid for a membership. It was just to stand by whilst the gyms were closed. And it did, it toned areas of my body that I didn't even think about, really, because I am just cardio. I don't do, I do very little weight lifting. So it was very, very different, and I enjoyed it. It was in lockdown, I got in the best shape of my life from starting this program, and that's the honest truth.
I don't exactly know what to say there, but going into that situation where obviously there's things going on, and like for anyone who's watching, it's like, what can I do? How can I do it? And the steps that I need to take towards my goal. Like that's a mindset shift, right? That's a fundamental, an implementation kind of action taking mindset, because you've got Google, you've got YouTube, you've got lots of apps out there. The information is freely available. But from what you're saying, especially when you speak to your friends around you, it's being able and willing to take those steps, those actionable steps, which fundamentally, when someone perhaps isn't in that place, and it is simply a mindset behavior change problem, right? And it's looking at that's going to get you, regardless of what's going on, the result. Because one way or the other way, from the sound of it, especially from coaching you, like you was always going to get where you wanted to be once we worked on a few bits and pieces that we needed to. Yeah, awesome. It's really good to catch up. I know if you haven't already, but you are going to put all the weight on, but in a good way. All right, in a good way. So
you can't tell anywhere at the minute. It has all gone down there.
Okay.
I can honestly say that it's all gone down there. Thankfully, my arms aren't like bingo wings, as you can see. Nice. So, and a little bit here looking at the screen, but that's about it. But I am hopeful as soon as it just goes.
Nice. The weight going on was a question that kind of a couple of people have asked. Like I asked the people in my email list in the groups, do you have any questions from a former client? And one of them was, did you put the weight on? Hopefully that's answered that one. And I mean, I'll go through them again, although you've kind of talked to a few of them questions. Catherine asks, how did you manage to stay motivated to exercise following the program? I know we've touched on that already, but yeah, what would you say to that specific question?
I'd got so far, and it was like kind of like a drug almost. You get to your goal, and then you're thinking, oh well, if I was to carry on, I'd get to this, and then I'd get to this, and then you're like, well, I'm quite happy now. And then once you're at that stage of where you know you're happy and comfortable, then you know you didn't have to have the motivation. It was just like a routine. It was second nature to do that, and it was very easy to carry on doing it.
I was just thinking then it's almost like that sets you up those 12 weeks and then can accelerate. Yeah. Nice. Tamas asks, did you stick to the exercise? I mean, there's a lot of people questioning after the 12 weeks, and you've kind of talked to that question anyway, so I'll not circle around on that too much. But one of them, he says, did you go on to achieve any bigger goals? Again, you've answered that. This is an interesting one. Why didn't you stay on, or did you just quit? And actually, I remember we had a conversation about next steps. So yeah, just catch up to speed. What happened towards the end? I know that was, you know, you was, you know, at that point it was, you know, what should we do? What's the next step? What's the goal? Obviously, you've done really well. Just you know, for those that are watching, how did that work out for you?
Well, I think I had the basis of what you gave me, and it was a difficult decision because I would have carried on with yourself, but at the same time I thought now is a good time to try it on my own. And I always knew if I was either going to struggle, or if I thought, no, you know what, I could really do some more work on this, then, you know, I will do. You know, I'll get in contact with you. I'll start again. But at the time, I just thought, you know what, I've got my basic skills. I want to try it on my own, and that was what made me do it. But I'll stand by it, and I'll say it again. The greatest thing that you gave me was the meditation. It is the greatest thing, and we're a year on, and I still meditate. Wow. I don't meditate as on a daily basis as I was, but if I get my fuzzy head, or if I'm thinking I'm getting really angry because I'm not necessarily an angry person, I'm not really a negative person, and I think, you know what, if I just take my time out, I'll be able to. And having those skills that you've given me made me think, yeah, I am right. If I didn't feel that way towards the end of the 12 weeks, 110%, I would have carried on with the program. But I got in a better place than I actually imagined. And that is the only reason. Making me giggle and feel nervous.
I don't know what to say, right? I mean, it's kind of like there's lots of things out there that people can do to get in the best shape, to work on the mindset, to get the result. And obviously, my aim is like to give you to facilitate your own development so that you then don't need to, you know, anyone else to guide you. So when I'm hearing this, I'm just like, oh, this is awesome, because this is exactly what my only goal was to help you reach yours, right? So it's amazing just to have this conversation. This is another one from one of my friends and clients, actually, Di. Di asks, how do you respond and react to positive feedback from people following the program?
At first, I really struggled with positive feedback, and I remember in our conversation, I really struggled with positive feedback because I don't know how to give it back. And I thought, no, I can't. I used to clam up. I used to go bright red. I used to feel, you know, what do I say? And having finished our chats and thinking about that, I find it quite easy to take on compliments. Don't get me wrong, you know, a good compliment always puts a smile on your face regardless. But I'm much easier and feel like to say, yeah, I did deserve that, instead of thinking, oh no, I didn't quite deserve that, or why are they saying that? It's much more positive for me thinking, yeah, I did deserve that. It makes you feel like it's more deserved, I suppose, since the program, because you do get them, but you also think, oh, you know, did I deserve it? And now I'm just like, yeah, too right, I'm amazing. not as cocky.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess you can say that that's self-worth, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've achieved your goals, you've driven, you know, you've committed, you've succeeded. So, you know, you get that feedback loop. You feel better, you feel more worthy. Like, yeah, I totally get that. That's a great insight. Shal asks, how do you feel this year compared to last year before the program with everything that's going on? Great question.
Amazing. As I touched upon when we was talking how I am, I think if I hadn't got to where I was in the program, or hadn't done the program, I would have been in a much worse place if everything was to pan out as it has now. And I feel from doing that, I feel really, really good in myself. I feel really healthy in myself, and I feel that I can achieve anything that I want to. And I know if I needed that advice or help, I always have yourself. And that's a great thing to have. You know, you make your own assumptions when you do the program. It makes you feel good when you do the program, and you could be thinking, oh, you're on the touches of doing it or not, but I can assure you it will be one of the best things that you'll do, because it does uplift you. You know, it's taking your mind out of that negative focus and creating positivity, which just makes you feel happier anyway.
In this day and age, there's lots of, we have a stressful life, regardless of the coronavirus. There's lots going on, and we have to commit ourselves to work, our family, our relationships. There is genuine commitments, responsibilities that mean you have to fulfill them. With that in mind, when you want to succeed in business, in life, in career, and your relationships, do you think that someone doing something like this, it's essential if they're going to be able to get the result and stay there, just because we're always going to have these commitments, we're always going to have these, so kind of give me your thoughts on, as a busy professional, as someone who's looking to progress in life and career, like, give me some thoughts on how this was potentially, looking back, a necessary insert into that entire success that we've kind of looked at.
I think doing the program, it's helped overall. It's not just helped with my main goal, which was to lose weight. It's helped with everything, with every step that I've gone on and taken. I think if your mind is in the right place, as you tend to, as I found that I did have some issues that I didn't realise that were happening, and you get to see that it's working. You get to see, it's like a domino effect. As soon as you start digging a bit deeper and going through the program, you start to see, wow, this really is benefiting this, and I'm feeling better in this, and people are noticing that this is happening, and you just tend to see like everybody tends to see you in a different way. And it's not necessarily like a click of the fingers. It's not something that you just turn on. It just happens on its own. And I think to get that way, especially if you are in between, or you're just not 100% sure, if you've never done something like this, it does help.
Awesome. Good to catch up with you. I actually have no questions specifically on that one. If I had any, you've already kind of been through that. So yeah, just to kind of round up, this is the amazing Kirsty Brooke. She's not only lost the weight, but also kept it off, and more importantly, she's kind of achieved all of the goals that you set and more. So yeah, was there anything else that you kind of had in mind that you wanted to go through? I know we're both catching up and reflecting, but yeah. I wanted this to be, I want people to see what is possible with my help, but I want people to see what my clients do after the program, because my only aim is to help you achieve your goals. Was there anything else that you kind of wanted to go through while we was here?
No, I think that's everything. I think if anybody who's in your group on Facebook, whoever follows you, whoever is thinking, wow, I'm getting really great support from the emails, then I do encourage you to do the program with yourself, because it changes you for the better, not just for a time hop in your life. It really has. It's benefited me throughout. It's benefited me, and it will continue to do so. And hopefully, it rubs off on my husband. It's something that I would definitely recommend anybody to do. And if I do struggle, I know it's not the case of you get saying, well, no, you're not in my program anymore. I know that you'll take the time out to, help me with whatever it is that I might be needing that support on. And that's a really good thing that you get, because you don't get that with other things. You don't get that with other diet plans or other coaching things. It's once it's ended, it's ended. And that's not the case with yourself. I know that you would be there if I did have any questions, and that's a very good comforter, because I know for a fact if I do get overwhelmed with anything, you're there to help.
All right, we can stop there.